Today's scripture, Matthew chapter 28, verse 9 through 10, and John chapter 20, verse 15 and 17. And behold, Jesus met them and greeted them, and they came up and took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, Do not be afraid. Go and take word to my brethren to leave for Galilee, and there they will see me. And John, Jesus said to her, Woman, why are you weeping? Whom are you seeking? Supposing him to be the gardener, she said to him, Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him. I will take him away. Jesus said to her, Mary. She turned and said to him in Hebrew, Rabboni, which means teacher. Jesus said to her, Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brethren. And I said to them, I ascend to my Father, your Father, and my God, and your God. So far, we have shared the 7 sentences Jesus has spoken on the cross, which let us know all the mission and the purpose of Jesus to descend down on this world as a human being, to experience every single corner, struggling, happiness, betrayal, feeling, all those things. And finally, he spent his the last breath and bleeding, the last drop of the blood as well, and to proclaim everything has been finished, which means the process of the redemption and the salvation for each one of a single personality has been accomplished. That proclamation is to tell us the fact. So from now on the next step, we're going to share about the situation or the stage of Jesus after the resurrection. There must be couple or pairing the sentences Jesus has spoken on the cross. As you see, we cannot Jesus on the face to face in this modern time. Only after only 40 days after the resurrection, he exposed himself to Mary and the disciples and other peoples. That is very intentional gesture to let us people know about some fact. So we're going to share about the meaning why Jesus had exposed himself after the resurrection to the people. Some specific selected person only. Of course, let them know some very important factor. And one of the point we're gonna think about is that even there is a 2,000 years period of time gap in between the first generation church and our time. However, in the situation to meet with Jesus, resurrected Lord, and each one of us is not different from each other. 2,000 years ago and our modern time. We think about why. The first scene is to describe about the situation of Mary Magdalene. First thing, we can see there is a change of the paradigm of the Christianity, because the first day after the Sabbath, during the day of unleavened bread days, which means after the Passover, the 7 days will be called unleavened bread feast. Among the 7 days, there must be one of the day of Sabbath, and the first day after Sabbath is the Lord's Day. At a time, Jesus has been arisen from the tomb. So that is the first explanation about first harvest, which is called the resurrection. However, there is some misunderstanding regarding to the resurrection. People used to think Jesus is the first fruit of the resurrection. Then that implied people they're continuously the second harvest or third harvest, fourth harvest, blah blah blah. But we have never experienced any other people has been arisen from the tomb after the death, except for Jesus only. So now is the time to change the understanding about the first harvest and the next harvest, something like that. Actually, the day of Jesus to be arisen from the tomb is the traditional feast of the Jewish people that is called the first harvest feast for the barley. That has been lasted, that's supposed to be lasted for the next 50 days. 50 days. According to the condition of their farming or harvest, first harvest people bring that first harvest to the Holy Temple to serve to God for the appreciation or something, Thanksgiving. The next day will be continuously has been offered their first harvest according to their condition at the time of the harvest. So that kind of harvest and the Thanksgiving has been connected into the meaning of the resurrection. So people misunderstood Jesus is the first harvest. So we're going to expect the second harvest or third harvest, something like that, for the next 50 days. However, it's not happening. So why? That is, there was a misunderstanding. Because Jesus is not the first harvest of the resurrection. Instead of that, Mary Magdalene is the first harvest of the resurrection. And the next step is given to the 12 disciples and Thomas and something like that. So actually, Jesus is not the first harvest of the resurrection. Instead of that, anyone who has experience of the resurrection of Jesus is to be first harvest of the resurrection. So are we. At this modern time as well, if we're going to listen to the news of the resurrection of Jesus 2,000 years ago, and we can understand the meaning of the resurrection, and encounter the situation to have the meeting with the resurrected Lord, then we're going to be the first harvest of the resurrection. Even we are living in this world, we have never experienced of the crucifixion, or we have never experienced to be dead, but we're going to be involved the pleasure and the blessing of the resurrection with the experience to meet the resurrected Lord. So we're going to explain how we're going to meet the resurrected Lord. Traditionally, Jewish people used to heading for a holy temple. That is the attitude of the worshiping in that time, historically. Has been lasted for a long time. However, Mary Magdalene and other ladies, including the Mary, the Virgin Mother of Jesus, as well, instead of they heading for the Holy Temple, they are heading for the tomb of Jesus. It's a whole different direction. That reveals that there is a time to convert the paradigm of the worshiping God. That is because all those meaning of the first harvest in their farming has been fulfilled. That feast and the worshiping has the meaning, like the promise or covenant. And all those promises supposed to expect the fulfillment. So what is the fulfillment? What is the reality? That is to have the meeting with the resurrected Lord. The resurrection is the fulfillment of the promise to offering the harvest to the holy temple or something. So at this moment, when Jesus met Mary Magdalene, actually the last time it's been 3 or 4 days after the crucifixion. So when is the last time we have a meet together, Sukima? Last Sunday, right? Seven days before. Yeah. Can you remember me? Yeah, definitely true. But after 4 days of crucifixion, Mary Magdalene could not recognize who Jesus is. Why? Too much weeping, crying, tearing? No. She was a fear. She was the feeling of fear, not crying or something. Important thing is that after the resurrection, the appearance, kind of face of Jesus has been different from before. All the scene of the resurrection, after the resurrection, Jesus revealed himself, exposed himself to the disciples, a whole different situation. Every single scene, the face and the appearance of Jesus has been different from each other. Why? And sometimes he he has exposed himself in front of the people instantly without opening door or something like that, like a SF kind of movie or something. That has been recorded in the Bible, whole Bible. That is not because to let us know the transformation after the resurrection of our body, blah, blah, blah. That is not the point. Instead of that, that record would like to let us know the condition and the status of Jesus after the resurrection has been whole different thing, kind of transformed. What is the exact description of Jesus? The condition of Jesus is man like God, or God like man. The one who we would like to worshiping, we would like to worship is God and Jesus, which means God created this world, including each one of us, and there is some kind of intention to solve kind of freedom or maturity, how to use that freedom, something like that, in order to give us the fullness of the Trinity. That is the final goal of all the journey of the faith and the Christianity. That is the whole goal and the purpose of the living in this world, of the creation of this world. And in order to fulfill or solve that kind of matter and the problem, God would not step aside or depart from our situation. Instead of that, He just be involved in the creation. Like when we're gonna make some kind of a computer game and make the simulation, but there is some kind of a very fundamental problem in that software. Then the programmer himself gonna be participate in that program as one of the character of that kind of a Neo, in the Matrix or something. So God would like to be involved in our world of His own creation in order to solve that kind of problem as a human being. That is Jesus. And finally, He proclaimed, everything is finished. It is finished. And after that, he has been resurrected. That fact should be supposed to be acknowledged to each one of us. We used to misunderstood. We used to be misunderstood. We have to do that. We have to do something in our Christianity. We have to achieve. We have to level up or something. All those things must be duty and responsibility for each one of us, but it's not. Most important thing is to acknowledge the fact has been fulfilled by Jesus. When we acknowledge that kind of fact, that is to be our faith and confession. And at a time, our attitude and our resolution and our decision will be followed. So first thing is the recognition who I am, and the acknowledgement to the fact that has been fulfilled by Jesus Christ and God. At a time, our attitude and our enthusiasm and our devotion will be followed naturally. We're just gonna live our living as who we are. What is as who we are? What is who we are? It's kind of a revealing acknowledgement and faith, fundamental recognition. So that is why in our church we don't used to push each one of our members to do that, to this and that, something like that. Instead of that, we just share the acknowledgement and recognition, who am I, with the base of the unification with the Lord, something like that. And enthusiasm and attitude and decision will be followed in that recognition. So now is a time, the one who we would like to worship is God, but our God is to be a man, but without any restriction, to make unification with every single person. No restriction. So we have the situation whole different. Every single person have a whole different character, whole different personality, whole different difficulties. But our Father God and Jesus became man and experienced every single moment, every single difficulties and emotional situation. So there is no problem to make the unification with every single person. At a time, we can recognize that fact, and we can confess that kind of fact as our own faith and matured through our living. Then our freedom will be matured to enough to have the fullness of God eventually. That's our situation, and confess our faith. Thank you.